pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the April 26th, 2021 meeting, the May 11th, 2021 meeting, May 25th, 2021 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Apache?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 5, Superintendent's Presentation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Galvin, and thank you, Board. We have 3 great presentations tonight that will highlight various partners throughout our community, but I want to start with the first one. Each year, we give away these big rocks to people throughout our district that have really gone above and beyond what we ever would ask them to do. They just really show the comic culture through and through. And so we give these to staff members, and each year about 8 rocks go out throughout the district and the community. We also include a couple community members, and this year we have had a year that we have never ever imagined could have possibly hit us, and you all know because you've lived through this, and we all have together as a community. But there are some people that were a part of this remarkable year that were remarkable partners, that were with us every step of the way, where I talked with them probably at some points in time, probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times, 20 times a day to walk through all kinds of things. So if we could just take a second, I would like to invite Dwayne and Dustin to stand up here, and then I'll move over to the podium and share a little bit more about each of them. In a second. You stand right here. I just want to share with you. So this, many people in here were not a part of this, but we were invited over to the city council meeting as a team to give us this resolution. This resolution is from the city, just talking about some of the work that we were able to do to open our schools. And so as a recognition of thanks to the school district and the school board and our team and our teachers for going above and beyond to make this happen for all of our students and all of our kids in this community, because they really see the connection between what happened in our schools and the success of our community moving through this most difficult time. So I share this with you to just say, hey, this is not just something that we earned, but we wanted to also recognize you two. So I have not quite that beautiful of a resolution, but I have a rock for you. And so these are the rocks that we hand out, and I'll have a bag for you as well. But we cannot thank you enough for just being great partners. And people don't recognize this, but beginning, all the Warren County superintendents sat around in a room. This was way back when we barely even knew what the word COVID meant. We were trying to figure out, was it Corona something? Remember back in the day?
I think actually the day that we had our meeting is when they named it.
Yes, I think it was that early in the game, and you were all at the table helping us understand, well, what's the purpose of a mask? What's the purpose of this? How do we make sense out of all the orders that were flying everywhere and changing? And so we just want to thank you so much for, just sincerely, as a school district and the community, for helping us work through that. So Dustin, thank you so much. Dwayne, thank you so much. You guys want to say anything to them? We'll get a quick picture.
Yeah, we just wanted to acknowledge, that all of the accolades and, pats on the back that we as a school district have received throughout the past year would not be possible without your all's efforts and collaboration. And I know, Dwayne, we had a few phone calls early on and talking through some challenges that we were facing, and you've been extremely, supportive and creative in helping us, be able to stay open this past year and be a leader in the kind of arena of schools trying to do something other than just, throwing the towel. And we really appreciate that. And we know that you all have fielded your fair share of calls from our families, as well as families of all over Warren County. And, we know it keeps you busy, probably busiest year you've ever had, I would imagine. So we thank you very much.
Well, thank you as well. And I'm old enough to remember when
getting stoned in school was frowned upon. But I will say, you know, it was great working with the folks here at Mason and all the other schools in the district or in the county. And, you know, I think our big focus was on, you know, how do we reduce risk to both the employees, the staff, and the students throughout the county. And, you know, you were a great partner, as were all the other superintendents in the county. So, you know, working together, we were able to find ways and learn from each other and make it as safe as possible for everyone to get through a healthy school year.
We appreciate it.
Yep.
Well, if you guys would come forward for a picture
Sorry,
with our board.
I wanted to say something real quick too. I just wanted to say thank you for the partnership. I mean, we talk a lot about how I don't know what percentage of schools were open from the very beginning through the end of the year in the entire country, but we know it was very small, and we know that we are really grateful and lucky that we did that. And we talk often about how that came to be and how we were able to do that. And we've reflected a lot on our staff and our administrators and gave accolades and talked about what a great job they all did and how creative they were. But the fact of the matter is that we could not have done that without our partnership with you. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate it. We appreciate you being above the political fray, because there was one option to throw in the towel, but there was also an option to pretend like nothing was happening. And we wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing to protect our families and staff and students, and you helped us do that. You helped us do it with science, in consultation with medical experts, but to stay open until we found out that we couldn't. And so, like I said, we couldn't have done that without you, and we're lucky to have valued partners right here in Warren County for that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And Matt's exactly right. There'd be many phone calls where I would say, can we consider this? And you would say, no, we cannot at this point in time. Let's look at that differently. And then you would give me the science and the rationale behind it. And I'd come back to my team and say, let's look at this differently. And it was yes, so healthy. And we appreciate that relationship. We'll welcome you down here to the front if we could. And then Amy will grab a picture, if that's okay, of you guys with our board. Tracy Carson's usually here as our public information officer. She's home taking care of young Carson, so we're happy for her, but we'll try to get pictures taken.
We're gonna have to probably, can we get in?
Yeah, but if you squeeze in a little bit more, I'll get a better, yeah.
He is the help.
All right, 1, 2, 3, I'll get one a little bit closer. Great, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, our second presentation. So we have our partners that have helped us travel through a very difficult year, and we also have a team of all-stars, and I know that not all can make it, but we do have a group tonight. So I'm going to invite an all-star coach and legend, Coach Reed, to come up to the podium and maybe, or do you already have a plan of someone else?
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Yep, that's great.
Come on up, guys.
Coach Reed, we'll
Done
talk
this a time
to
or
you.
two.
Pretty familiar with the process.
Let's bring them up. You've got this down. Great. While Coach Reed is getting everybody organized, I will just recognize, I believe, Coach Reed, GMC Coach of the Year again, and also I think the National Federation of Coaches for our state also recognize you as Coach of the Year as well, and we appreciate it. And that's for girls, guys, all tennis, everything, I think. Yes, so appreciate you. Really good.
So my name is Sam King. I was a senior here at MHS, and thank you, school board, for the invite here. It's a big honor, and I'll go ahead and introduce the rest of the team that is here. We have Akshay Joshi here. Will be a senior here next year. Atharva Rao, also in my class, just graduated. Eric Exu, who will be a rising junior here. Vignesh Goganini will be a senior here, and Vamshi Sangiti will also be a senior here. And they were all a part of another state championship team, so it was pretty special.
I started a little bit, doing this a little bit differently for the girls when they came up last, and I thought it'd be more fun if you heard the perspective of the guys a little bit. So Next, Josie's gonna come up and kind of lay the table for how our state championship match began.
Great.
And then we'll have the guys tell you a little bit about their individual matches as we go. Go ahead, Akshay.
So we played the state semis and state finals at New Albany High School, who we ended up playing in the finals, so I'll talk about the finals. So yeah, going into that, we knew it was going to be a tough match. We had played them earlier in the season. We beat them. It was more of an exhibition, but that gave us some confidence, but we also knew if we were playing a state final away at their home courts was going to be a challenge. So yeah, when the match starts, we always line up across from each other on the court, so we announce our lineups. Playing first singles for us was rising senior Vignesh Goganini. Playing second singles was myself. Playing third singles was graduated Eric Tang, who is not present tonight.
Yep.
Not present tonight. Playing first doubles was Vamshi Singiti and Sam King, and playing second doubles for us was Atharva Rao and Anish Gangavaram, who is not present tonight. So yeah, we were playing tough matches, every single position. There was a lot of energy. There was a lot of crowd supporting New Albany. But we were getting ready for a really good match. So we went out with a lot of energy, gave final comments for the end of season, and we went out there ready to play.
Thanks, Akshay.
That's great.
As I said before here, you know, a lot of tennis matches are not terribly exciting, but when they do get exciting, they get really exciting, and you never know who's going to be the last one on the court. So, you know, some guys want that, you know, they want to take the last shot, and other people are kind of looking around hoping that they're not going to be the last one. And this was one of those matches. So we'll just go through and have the kids introduce themselves as the order finish went, and they'll tell you a little bit about their match. So who got off the court first? Vamshi Singiti.
So as Akshay said that day, me and Sam played one doubles at the New Albany Atmosphere. It was tough because there wasn't any Mason fans except for us and our parents. So when they won points or games, everyone got riled up. So me and Sam initially started with a 3-0 lead. So like first 1 to 6 games wins. And then we started losing that lead. So we were down like 3-4, 4-0, and they would all get riled up. And we were talking about like getting our heads in the game and focusing on finishing. So from then on, we won that set 6-4, and we went on to win the second set 6-0. We didn't give them a game. So that was a good momentum lead for us, and we won our first match. So there's 4 matches, so we were the first team to win. So, yep.
Nice.
5 matches.
First one of 3 points wins. We get the first point thanks to Vamshi and Sam.
Yeah.
All right, before Goganini tells you about his match, I just wanted to make note that he finished as a finalist the day before in the individual competition, and that takes a lot of energy to make a run like he did. So, you know, we were a little concerned about how he might be feeling at 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. He was battling a back injury the whole season that was bothering him. So there was a little bit of stress there. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so as Coach said, I was dealing with a little bit of back injury, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel coming into the match, but luckily I felt well, and as my teammate Vamshi Singiti said, he got off to a great start, and they won their first match. And how my match went was, originally in the beginning, we were just trading games and then long points, so I was losing a lot of energy early on, but luckily I found like a second gear, so I was able to win the first set 6-2, and then I came out dominant in the second set and just put pressure on him and won it 6-0, which gave the team a lot of confidence for Eric Tang and the rest of the team to continue to play well and not give them any room.
It's looking pretty good. It's going to be a nice, relaxing afternoon. We'll be going greater soon. And third match.
So yeah, I played second singles. Unfortunately, I did not get the best of my opponent that day. It was he's a good player. It was going to be a tough match, but he came out a little bit better than me. You know, I was able to fight the whole way. I don't think I gave him anything, but like we said, the team was up 2-0 when I had finished, so that was a little bit of a ease on my conscience coming off the court. But yeah, it was after my match, it was 2-1, Mason.
Two things about Akshay, one I'm going to remember, is that he finished second in the state the day before the doubles again, so he's gone through a pretty tough week already with that. And I'll come up with the other one in a minute. I knew I was going to forget it. So we've still got the match. There's no worries at all. It's 2-1, and we're still going to Graders and celebrating. But there's 2 matches on right now, and the next match to finish our Tharba Rouse match, and he's playing with Anish Gangavaram.
Yeah, so unfortunately we did not get the best of our opponents, just like Akshay. But we were going strong in the first set. We ended up winning that. And in their second set, unfortunately our opponents got like more of a second gear, and they started like battling more, like started like hitting more. And unfortunately we lost the second set. And at the time it was just our match and Eric Tang's match, and we're the only 2 matches left on. So like the pressure of having like to win that match, because our match could have won the entire GMC for us, but so we were like trying to like push and like always win the match, but unfortunately we lost this third set, and so it all came down to Eric Tang.
All right, third round. So what Rao didn't tell you was that he probably played the best match of his career that day, and all season long his partner, Gangavaram, who's just a great tennis player and a great kid, has a back injury in which you can only play for so long, and then it starts to give out, and it gave out that day. And so in the third set, no matter what they could do, they just couldn't win it. Meantime, Tang, is this where we go?
Yeah.
Meantime, Tang he has just split sets. He'd won the first set easily on what's now the deciding court, and he's the one that's going to have to take the last shot in the game because he lost the second set right as these guys didn't win. And now Tang is playing third set for a state championship. And Tang, keep in mind, I've been telling Tang all season that he's going to be the one playing for the state championship because he was the one that everybody would want to play at 3 singles. So it comes down to that, and Tang's not here, but describing the events from Tang's perspective is Eric, I see.
Okay, so during the third set, it was very tight, very close. As soon as Tang won a point, his opponent would win a game. So it was very close. So at the end of the day, Tang kept pushing forward and stopped.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Eric. Could you describe the atmosphere at all there when Tang's playing?
Yeah, the atmosphere over there was very tense. The entire Albany cheering squad was on the course cheering for every point his opponent won. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, yeah, including the Mason team. Our cheer squad was also on the course cheering for every point Tang won.
The way it should be, right?
Yep.
And then, I don't know how he did it, but Tang played probably the best tennis of his career as a Comet, under the most pressure that probably anybody's been under. And it was just a ton of fun, and he just persevered in an incredible match. And I know these guys wanted Big Nash earlier tonight, again, the most valuable player award, and he wanted me to just give it to Tang for what he did for us that day, and I think that's our championship match. Thanks for
Well, congratulations, guys. We're extremely proud, and it it's never gets old honoring the state champs that we get to here in Comet Country, and we really enjoy listening to the recaps from your perspectives, and we're looking forward to what the future holds with those of you that are returning and going to be gunning for a repeat performance next season.
Is this, just clarify, is this the third one in a row?
For the boys, we lost last year for the, we didn't get a chance.
Because you didn't have last year.
Right.
So you took a season, it closed down, and still came back and won it.
Yeah, so Sam King is a 3-time state champ. It was an asterisk. He would have had a chance last year, but didn't get to play. So he won the state championship and played great in
That's awesome.
each of those championship rounds.
Just to be clear, we didn't bring the health commissioner here to complain about that or anything. But our guys were ready if called upon to go out if they could have, so.
Well, we've got some swell prizes for you guys to come down.
You can hold your racket in this bag, maybe.
Why don't you start down at that in here?
Congratulations.
Very well
You gotta bring the
told.
steak to this.
Nice job.
We can build that atmosphere here. That'd be nice.
We're gonna get sick of seeing you. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
What one do you-
You probably need one, right?
There you go.
Awesome.
Whoops, I'm sorry. There you go. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. Congrats, Coach. Congratulations.
Get tight, get real.
You guys angle your bodies to the side, you'll get all in.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Coach Gattuso? We don't want to block him. Are you okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. That's great. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Thanks for being here. All right. Well, so we've heard from our heroes to our health department, our superstar tennis players. Thanks so much again. And now we'd like to call up our Mason Schools Foundation to give us an update on the work that has happened this year, the investment that has been made in our classrooms, and hear some testimonial about how that's going. So I'll turn it over to Mindy Patton. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. We have been proud to be part of the Mason community since 2008, and today marks an important milestone. Last year, during the pandemic, we were able to maintain our level of investment of investing over $100,000 worth of grants back into Mason City Schools. This is in a year with a little bit lower than average fundraising, which is anticipated in a pandemic, but we still gave back. Tonight, we're announcing an incremental $115,000 worth of new spending, and we just shared what those specifics are with you. And just very briefly, we hit every building. We hit all of our students in need with the Backs to School supply drive that Lena chairs for us. We have an Innovation Catalyst grant that now is going to be entering its 7th year that catalyzes innovation throughout the district in combination with our administrators. We've had a special focus on wellness and inclusive excellence the last year, from therapy dogs to supporting the high school new inclusive excellence team. We support students with gifted learners and their parents and their challenges, as well as special needs students, and partnering with them throughout kindergarten through seniors in high school. Performing arts, visual arts, applied technology, old school and new school. Old school for us is buying this year cardboard for our engineering class at MMS and Legos at I to learn math, as well as new math platforms and digital platforms for our teachers that have been online. And then we also still do things like flexible seating, so hard goods that go into the school. All things that are above and beyond the scope of what our school district can afford to do themselves. So this year we're proud to celebrate. We have both $1 million that we have given, and we also have $1 million in our endowment or in reserves that we're able to continue to give back over many years. But really the hallmark of the foundation is supporting our teachers and students. So we have 2 educators who received grants this year that are going to share a little bit about their reflection. Mr. Flanica, who's an applied science teacher at the high school, is going to go first.
Hello, my name is Mike Flanica. I teach applied science and applied math at the high school. I've benefited from several Mason Schools grants over the years. First, which 2012, I've got a garden here at the high school, so that's been going almost 10 years now. They've supported that several times, allowing me to put in like wheelchair accessible pathways and raised beds, things like that. So I just want to thank the Mason Schools Foundation. They allow teachers to think creatively. I feel as a teacher like I'm not restrained by any ideas I might have. If I've got an idea and it might cost a little bit, after I go to my department and my school and Mr. Dodd and they all say no, I go to the Mason Schools Foundation and typically they say yes. This year in particular, with our high school IE student team, we were kind of under the pressure to get some materials for them pretty quickly. That group came together to help the school in our inclusive excellence focus. So a grant through the MSF Foundation allowed us to bring in a book study that we did with them. Catrice Kate, a guest speaker that came to us. We went to the Underground Railroad Freedom Center in the spring. We didn't think we'd be able to take a field trip, during COVID, but luckily in the spring we were able to take one. So it's things like that they enable us to do. I think it's a great way for community members to know that their money goes directly to the classroom. They follow up with their projects. As a teacher, I know that they truly want to know how the grant did. They just don't want to know, data and numbers. They actually come into my classroom. They see my students. They take pictures in my room. I send them pictures. And then I can tell you, too, as a teacher, they value us as teachers. They do their Teacher of the Year award and the grants. As a teacher, you feel very valued when there's support networks like the Mason Schools Foundation around us. So just want to thank them. I'll toss it to Joyce. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Jocelyn Belue is a social studies teacher at the middle school, and this year she was an online teacher who came to us in the spring semester with a big idea that had missed the general grant cycle, and it was amazing and one of our favorite grants from the year.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jocelyn Belue. This is my 13th, maybe 14th year in Mason, and I never applied for a grant before. I always felt like all my colleagues had better ideas than I did, and I was, I don't know what. And being online this year, which I want to say thank you to the board, to our school, to allow that ability for teachers to meet students online as well as in person. And it was hard, but it was really good. And so one of the things for being online is it's really hard to connect because sometimes you see black screens or just names or, Bob the Builder or, Bob SquarePants on the screen. And so Jennifer Page, who's not with us tonight, who's another online teacher, we were trying to figure out how do we continue to connect students to ancient world history because, it's ancient and they're 12 and 13, and how do we do that? And so we were able to find Baba the storyteller, who brought ancient African traditions into our classroom through call and response. It was amazing. Every student's camera was on. Kids were like, no, come back, don't leave us. Like, we want to keep going. It felt alive. It felt invigorating, and the kids didn't stop talking about it. We were able to bring this to every online student in 7th grade, and also because he allowed us to record his videos, we were also able to share it with the entire 7th grade department, 7th grade, and some 8th grade teachers as well. And so I wanted to thank the foundation for investing in us teachers and investing in our students, and giving us a space where every voice does have an opportunity. For me, I'll just be honest, as a Black teacher in Mason, it felt great having my cultural roots in the classroom and connecting through ancient storytelling and the way we connect it as a collaborative community. It felt really great. The students loved it 100%, like literally every kid said they liked it, which never happens. So I just wanted to say thank you again. Appreciate the time tonight. And again, thank you so much.
Thanks. Well, we thank you so much, Mason Schools Foundation. I know the board will have a few things, but thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Mike, for sharing some of your story, and we really appreciate that. I'll turn it over to Charles.
Yeah, we appreciate the insight. Obviously, the Mason Schools Foundation does a lot to support and underpin the things that we strive to, achieve here in the school district, but you're also a separate entity apart from the district. So we appreciate all of you on the, on the foundation, your volunteering and your support and the time and hours and effort that you put into the foundation, and likewise the teachers that, spend the time and really kind of think through creative ways to deploy the funds that you all have at your disposal, and make the most of those. And we are really the benefactors. Our kids, enjoy some experiences that they wouldn't otherwise get without your creativity and the time you put into writing those grants and applying for those funds. So thank you all for sharing that with us.
Yeah, we recognize our health district partners and, recognizing that this year wouldn't have been possible without partnerships like theirs, and the Mason Schools Foundation is no exception. In a year where, as Mindy said, fundraising was understandably down, the gala wasn't the same as it usually is. So, as expected, numbers coming in and revenue were a little down this year. Not only did you commit to keeping the support for our teachers' ideas the same, you actually went up a bit. And as a result, and we've talked about this before, you not only helped Mason continue to have a great year and continue to have some of the traditions that we had, even though they look a little different. We did the reading challenge. We did, certain events that you always do. But you helped us to continue to go further and further above and beyond. And I think so many of the grants this year touched so many students. Just, Jocelyn, as you were talking about, 7th and 8th grade, so many students were benefited by that. But I think about the dogs too. I mean, I have 3 kids, 2 going into 3rd grade, 1 going into 5th. They all know the dogs. I mean, they've all interacted with them. And while, we wouldn't identify them as somebody who that dog was meant for, trained for necessarily, there's no doubt that those companions help us with what we're trying to do with mental health in all of our buildings. And that, especially this year, was a really big deal. And I really appreciate the commitment to keeping up the funding levels this year, despite a down year. And I've appreciated serving as the board's liaison with the Schools Foundation. And I think that the impact being felt more broadly this year isn't just a result of me being on the inside and hearing more information. I think the impact really was spread out. So we appreciate it very much.
I've always been grateful through the years to both the staff for your creativity, but also to the foundation for the variety of activities that you are willing to consider. And I think that serves our students in so many wonderful ways.
Yes, thank you for the creativity that you allow the teachers to have, that, we have boundaries that, some ideas may be wonderful, but we can't necessarily financially support them. So your existence is such a blessing to our district, and the ideas the teachers come up with, and they can, explore their creativity, and you guys give them the avenues to make it happen. So we are very lucky to have you, and thank you for all the hours I'm sure you put in volunteering to make sure we're the best we can be. Thank you.
And I would just say we love to get a chance to pause and see the milestones and the grants that each of you do, but they wouldn't be possible without a foundation board that's actually a working board. So Brenda, Alicia, Mindy, Lena, I mean, you not only represent it, you get sweaty out there and push these things forward so we can raise the money and be able to accomplish these tasks. And while you're doing all that, we're 13 years into a journey that will be here in 100 years. And each of you, will have your fingerprints on those, and it's amazing to think what $1 million endowment will look like in 100 years for this community. So thank you all for everything you do.
And real quickly, I mentioned this year being a down year in fundraising. Well, next year is a new year, first of all. So we'll have lots of opportunities to engage and demonstrate for our community just what their investments and their support for the Schools Foundation means for the schools. But also, we've talked about this before, but I'm really excited about what the foundation is doing to help that lasting legacy and building community partnerships, because there are a lot of people in our community who don't quite know what the Schools Foundation is and what it can do and what it does for us today. So I'm really excited to see where that goes in the next few years.
Well, foundation members, thank you again. And I'll put a public challenge out to everyone, or an advertisement, that October 30th, correct? October 30th is the gala. I know you have many events throughout the year, but that is the moment that our community can come together and make next year a record-setting year, because the money, as you heard the teachers talk about, goes right back into the classroom and does things that we might not be able to reach ourselves as a district, but it goes above and beyond. So thank you so much. Let's give them all a hand, and then let's get our picture together. One more picture down here with the Banner looks great, by the way, features.
Does this have individual stuff on it too? The OHS, AA is team. OTCA is individual.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Jonathan, I made a mistake I'd like to clear up.
I was
just
gonna-
because
I was
I
gonna-
can't let this go by. So, one of our wonderful contributors to the foundation's Brenda Heffernan, and she is not here tonight. And I incorrectly said Brenda when I meant Natalie Newberg, who's the president of the foundation. And that was my mistake. You know, I try to hit the names, but missed on that one. So sorry about that, Natalie.
Oh, and I'm glad that he did that, but I also thought he was going to correct his mistake in not mentioning Marsha Wise as part of the board too, and her many contributions over the years too.
That would be a good one to mention as well.
But
Or
it's
could be-
all,
I was
know
mentioning
why,
who was here.
and I know why. I know, but I did want to mention Marsha too, and thank her for her many years of service.
I have seen the spreadsheet up on our computer at home. Colors are excellent, so.
And Mr. Wise has always taught us also, as we're all here in the presentation portion, there is another group of people here that we always try to recognize with our students, and that'd be our
Parents.
Our parents. And he always recognized. So let's give a hand to our parents for supporting these tennis players along their journey as well. You guys. You all make it happen, so we appreciate you as well.
Awesome.
Well, the best news of the day. Go ahead, Charles.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're about to announce it.
He's just teeing you up.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to
Break.
let people, this is a time in our meetings where we typically take a pause, and if you'd like to move on with your meetings, go ahead and you can move on with your evening, but you're welcome to stay for the remaining portions. But we
Charles doesn't understand that maybe the best news is that
Yeah,
you don't
he-
have to stay here for the rest of the meeting.
Wait a minute, it's a great meeting.
It's a great time to
be
go.
here all night.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Home
everybody
run and
leaves except
the early ones start to leave. This is when you get the good
Didn't even
seats.
see you back there.
All right, well, our next item on the agenda, item number 6, action items, Board of Education. We have some employment agreement documents. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll take the first bite at this.
I'm going to vote first now.
We can discuss a little bit, I guess, after we.
Joking. It's not like there's suspense like we would do with a new team.
Yeah, there's always suspense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, before we do vote on this, I do want to kind of tee this up for anybody who's watching at home. This is time as we are entering the final year of our superintendent's contract, as this board has historically done with superintendent and treasurer contracts. Under the Ohio Revised Code, this is when we are first eligible to kind of look at a renewal or extension of those contracts, and so this summer is the normal timing of that. Obviously, we as a board have watched Mr. Cooper in his first 3 years as our superintendent seen how he has invested in our community, and not just him, but his whole family, picks up and moves to our community to really be a part of the comic country culture, invest in the relationships of our community, and the contract that we're voting on tonight is a reflection not only of our confidence in you, Jonathan, but also an acknowledgement of, we've had quite a year this past year, and our whole district has been grateful for your leadership over this time. And we've also, recognized that you have put your faith in this district and this community, and we are excited to acknowledge that here tonight. So with that, any other
Just a couple other
discussion?
things?
Yeah, go for it.
I've talked often about, having the honor of during my time as president, sitting in the center seat, to have just at least been sitting in the center seat when the board, but I'll take a little extra credit because maybe I did a little more work on drafting or something like that. But, and having, at the time we hired Sean, at the time we hired Jonathan for your roles. And that was always, I've counted those as my best votes and most important votes in my time on the board. And I'll rank this up there right with it too, I think, because I think this contract and this commitment between the Cooper family and the board, I think it recognizes a lot. And as I look up, I see friends, friends of my family and friends of my wife and I. And I just thank you for that. And it's clear that you all are beloved in our community, and that's not just because we're excelling in the classroom or that we're having championship sports teams. It's that you've invested and you are friends. And we're glad to have you, and we look forward to many years. Sorry.
I would just add that, it might be warranted, but I won't do it. I mean, I know that there's lots of school districts that would be very interested in having you, Jonathan, and we're aware of that. And one thing I want to point out is that we're voting on this contract tonight. I don't know how long it's been since the last school district was trying to lure you away, but I want the community to know that your decision to stay here was not contingent on any of the terms in this contract. In fact, we indicated that would be our intent to do your contract, but this is the time we would have done it anyway because of the tenure that you've been here with us, and it's time to update the contract. So I think it says a lot about the fact that there was no negotiation. You just simply, made your decision, we made ours, and it happened to connect, and that's emblematic of how you lead. You connect, and we're glad to have you here. We're glad to look forward to a long journey ahead together, and most importantly, appreciate Michelle and your family for being a partner in that, which we know is important to you. So glad you're here tonight. It's a beautiful night. That's right, Miles. Give it to me. But it's a beautiful night to be inside, but it's an important moment to take a minute and reflect on your dad's leadership, and we all really appreciate it. So.
Yeah, I'll say, I was gonna say something about how unique and neat it is to get to, kind of follow Dad and see what a day at work is like, and getting the superintendent's presentation. You get a condensed version of, all the work that goes into this district, and I don't know that any 2 days in a row or any 2 days are the same in what a superintendent does, but I did also want to just, Kevin reminded me something that this is the normal rhythm. We're fortunate that we're able to do this in our normal rhythm that we would under normal circumstances. But this year in particular, we've seen high turnover among superintendents, not just in the state, but in our region in particular. And we've been fortunate to have the time to do a holistic kind of survey of the market of what the superintendent role is in our region. And we believe, that we're confident at least, that this contract is a reflection of aligning our goals as a district with where the market is and where with our peers are. So with that,
I'll add my 2 cents in. As superintendent of a school district, I know firsthand how many hours in a day, in a week, that you put in. And I have noticed that you are very fortunate, Mr. Cooper, that you have a family that supports you so beautifully. And I'm just so grateful that we have that, because it impacts your life. There's a lot of pull on a man with your responsibility. So thanks to the family for that. I'm personally very glad that you all in the beginning decided to move to Mason. Your residents that we are proud to have here. And I think that there are a lot of talented, the pool's not really huge, but there are some very talented superintendents in our country that we could pull from, any district could. But I think that what's unique with you is we have found a great match with our community and the culture, and you have grabbed that one by the horns. And I think you're making a great match to our community, serving each person that lives here and each family that attends our schools. And for that, I'm particularly grateful. And I believe that our district is blessed to have such a good match in that regard. So thank you for that.
So I guess not left much to say, but I've never met a person like you. Michelle, and your family. It's so emotional for me, because we're so lucky. That's it. We're just lucky to have you. So thanks for staying.
thank you all, and we're thrilled that you all could join us in the back tonight. And we're blessed to have you guys with us all. So with that, Sean?
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Apache?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
5-0.
All right.
Can I say quick, just one thing? Well, first, thank you. And know that, and I hope you know this, I did, as I promised, I did read the contract yesterday. So I promised I would read it. Our family does this, as you all know, and I hope everybody knows this. This is really what we believe in. It's what we believe in doing. Our conversations this year that I've had with you all and with other, it's a calling that we have as a family to serve. And I say family because it pulls a lot, and the only way I can do it is because of those wonderful people behind me, continuing to encourage, continuing to make it through it, yawning and everything else, so thank you to Michelle and to our boys and to our daughter. Thank you so much for making this possible, because I know I miss a lot of dinners and I miss a lot of life, but you all believe in what we do. So thank you so much, and thanks, board, for believing. There are a lot of places and colleagues I talk to that they can't do the work that we do because they don't have a healthy board that believes in the work. And so you all giving us the confidence as a team, and when I say team, I mean this is a team sport. Superintendency is not you don't do it on your own. It's with our team, it's with our teachers, it's with our community, it's with my family. So thank you. We truly appreciate it. It's an honor.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Can we have another pause?
I was just going to say the second best, time in the meeting. Now is the time when we take another pause in our evening to let anybody else who is here tonight move on with their evening.
Special Cooper family pause.
Yeah, special Cooper family pause. So thank you guys for coming. We're glad you could be here.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Aw. I was okay till I looked back and saw your family, and it was
make sure they got out before I announce our next item on the agenda is hearing of the public. Know what kind of volunteered stories we might get there.
Thank you. Tessa would have.
None tonight, so I think we'll move on to item number 8, resolutions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
A couple of these resolutions are appropriation related, so this is our last regular meeting of the fiscal year. And so we have one resolution that's our final appropriation resolution for fiscal year 21. Then we have a temporary for fiscal year 22, allows us to begin paying bills and paying our staff effective July 1st. So these are both part of our fiscal year and closeout process, and we'll report these to the county and keep these on file for audit.
Thanks, Sean. Any other discussion? Sean?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 9, non-district funded positions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 10, contracted personnel, independent contracts. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 11, certified personnel, superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 12, supplemental personnel, superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 13, resolution for hiring non-certified supplemental personnel, superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just real quick, there are a couple people in here that are, I want to congratulate those in the section called change of status that are moving to just new positions that are similar to what they've been before because they've interviewed for openings that have happened throughout our district, so I want to congratulate them. The other one is retirements. We have some folks retiring.
I think you jumped ahead. I think
Oh,
you're
I
on
apologize. Yep, forgive
We're
me.
on 13 there.
I was ahead of
Glad,
us.
glad that happened after the vote earlier.
Sorry, I'm clicking along too fast on here.
All right.
I'll wait till 14. Apologize.
All right. Any other discussion? Sean?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
5-0.
That is not to take anything from Mr. Thompson. So.
No, we appreciate that too.
All right. Item number 14, classified personnel, superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
So yes, for item 14, I apologize. Yes, change of status. Congratulations to the folks that have made it into new positions that continue in their career here at Mason, and we appreciate that. Retirements. Congratulations to now some of these are happening in the future, but they've given us their notice, which is always helpful for our planning. But Jack Martin, who is our auditorium manager, if anyone out there is watching and knows someone that's good with lights and sound, and we're going to be looking for some solution for that as well in the future. So I'm just putting that out as a, and Jack's been great serving in that role. And then Roger, one of our custodians, we want to thank you for your service as well in our district.
Awesome. Any other discussion?
Nope.
Sean?
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 15, certified personnel, additional duties. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Calvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 16, classified personnel, additional duties. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just want to point out, there's a lot on this section as well, but under C, you'll just see people that worked during the time when we prepared the Linder Family Tennis Center for the graduation ceremony. So just want to thank them again because a lot of these folks have other roles in our district and they stepped up for that opportunity, and they're being paid here, but just I know they went above and beyond to make that happen.
Absolutely. That was a great event, and they did an excellent job. Any other discussion? Sean?
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
5-0.
All right, item number 17, action items, superintendent's recommendations. I'm going to pull item J from this initial batch. Do I have a motion to approve the items in this section with the exception of item J?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just let me run through a couple of these in case there's any question. The first one on there, the new middle school course. This is something we discussed and went through 2 hearings. It's something that actually was proposed the year before, and then when COVID came into place, it stopped that. If you remember, I was sharing that with you. So that's now coming back around a year later. Approval of new curriculum resources. These resources are approved and reviewed not only by our curriculum department, but by our student achievement committee and teams of teachers that go through that. Those go through a first hearing publicly, and then they come through the second hearing. So those are curriculum updates and supports that are in place. So you'll see that come through on item B. And then there's some services on C for specific students that need additional services that we contract those out that we need to provide for them. Hamilton County is the HCESC, it stands for Hamilton County ESC, which is a service center that supports us. We work with both Warren County and Hamilton County for different services, so you'll see that on there. That's a part of summer evaluations, and you'll see it come up again with evaluations that come in July and August for new students coming in and different students that might be on IEPs or they're looking at special services and support. They'll go through that evaluation process during the summer. A lot of people think that schools shut down during the summer. We really don't shut down. We work diligently throughout the summer to prepare even for the next year. And then you'll see gifted coordinator also. Instead of having a full-time role, we have a part-time role for that here in the district through Hamilton County ESC as well. The annual agreement is on here, which comes up every year. St. Sue runs their agreement through us, as they do many other things, as the agent for them. And you'll see the MOU with the MEA, which is basically a memorandum of understanding with the Mason Education Association. I know they're not here tonight, but I know they're watching and connected. That is just one piece that we were not able to, we needed to finalize with that last contract that we discussed. So that's in here as well to be voted on. And then there's a couple other tools on there, like the survey tool with the panorama, the 5-year forecast. I think that's with Sean's department. And then the final thing on there is preschool calendar. Preschool calendar is a little different than our calendar because it is, there are more orientation days for preschool families to come in. So it gives them a little bit more of a extended runway for the families to come in.
Great.
I think I hit everything on there.
I think you did, and I'm confirming, the agenda up here is right. I know that there might be, there was a.
No, you're right. The live version is correct. I think the paper version was.
I want to make sure I hit the right letter there, so
Got it.
that's all good.
Through O, pulling J out.
Good
That's
call.
right. Okay.
Yes, you got the right letter.
You got
Sorry.
it.
All right. With that, is there any further discussion?
Well, one point, there's several textbooks on here, and I think it's maybe a good opportunity is to point out that each textbook, almost all of them, not each one, but almost all of them have a hard, hardback book, and then they also have an online component as well. And I think one of the challenges that we as a school board need to get our hands around is how we approve a textbook when the textbook's a hard thing. It's printed, it's in front of you, you can look at it, you can research it. And also, but how do you approve an online access? Because that online can change. And some of these are 4 or 5 year contracts. And I just think it's an important thing to know that there's a lot of content that we approve here that is not fixed. And there's a good reason for that. Lots, life changes, you need to be flexible, but it also does, show a bit of a crack in the controls of making sure that we are comfortable with the curriculum that's going into each of our buildings. And so I'm supportive, but I think it's important to just point out that that's a direction that's not going to stop the online whether it's online learning or online textbooks or online everything. And so it's just something that I think we need to think about as a board on how we engage so that we can be part of that process versus just a bystander. So.
I think that's a good point. I think that, you know, we are able to approve a snapshot in time, to your point, perhaps, but to the extent those online resources change or are revised or what have you, you know, it's a good reminder to our community and our folks that, you know, if something hits your radar, bring it to our attention, and we are happy to discuss it and take a look at those things. So,
Absolutely. Bring it to us, bring it to the board, bring it to Amy, her department, myself, for sure. Because you're right, they're constantly evolving resources. Even when we purchase a resource, we have the same questions. We have our teachers go through and, you know, look through different rubrics and lenses to pick the right thing. But, you know, you fast forward a year and things change and they update things. And so that's something we're always, I mean, we learned that even think through our online platform that we spent hours and hours going through, and then right when we adopted it, they changed the whole platform on us, and it put us into a spin with the online 7-12 learning, which is really hard. Our families it impacted them as well. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that. That is something it's a challenge, but we should definitely be open to the feedback for our public as well.
any further discussion? Sean?
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
5-0.
All right, and now item J from section 17 of the agenda. This is the Warren County Educational Service Center service contract. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Sean?
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
I abstain because of a possible conflict.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
4-0.
We are next on to item, is it 18?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Back to on track here. Item 18, Treasurer's Report. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Again, a couple things related to our fiscal year-end processes. We have our amended certificate of resources. That's the revenue version of the appropriations we talked about earlier in the agenda. And then some advances and transfers that are a little bit out of the norm. Again, things that we do here at the fiscal year as part of our closeout process. Advances are things that are basically loans between funds. All of these things help keep us within compliance with the Ohio budgetary laws. So this is just part of our fiscal year-end closeout.
Thanks, Sean. Any other discussion? Sean?
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Yingling?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
5-0.
Item number 19, Superintendent Committee Reports.
You know, we had one committee that met since our last meeting, and just a reminder, the superintendent committees are committees that have teammates from our executive team or other administrators that run the committees. They meet, they make recommendations to the superintendent, which I then bring and share with the board. So just to remind people how the committees work. But we had this is actually not necessarily a committee, but it is something that we give updates on during this time, and that's the Mason Schools Foundation. They're their own 501c3 entity. And as Mr. Steele mentioned, he's one of our representatives on there. I sit on there, and so does Tracy Carson. So to give a quick update on some of the work that happens there, this last meeting, there was a focus around some of the budget and how they're looking at that. Mrs. Wise also sits there and serves as part of that. And just hearing a little bit of how the budget went this year and also some future planning for investment and looking at some different options for the future to continue to make that as sustainable as possible and self-sustainable in the future so that can continue to give for hundreds of years into the future. And we appreciate that future planning. There was also updates specifically around back to school updates. You heard them mention that tonight with the supplies, goals and strategies that the organization has put together, because they've kind of refreshed their goals and strategies to make sure that everyone understands the ownership in those. And so as each committee goes forward, each person, each member as a part of that board. They have specific things that they own as part of that and continue to move forward. And there's also an update on the Gala Committee, which is one of the most active committees at the moment because they're preparing for the Gala on October 30th. And that committee is looking for community partners, and they're also looking for creative ways to they use a platform always to do the fundraising, so they want to make sure they have the right platform that's the easiest to use to bring, to make it most accessible to everyone attending, but not only those attending the gala, but those that might want to be involved remotely and continue to contribute and participate in that. So those are the main updates. There are a few others, but those are the big ones that came out of our last meeting.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackson. All right. Any other discussion there? I think we covered that. Item number 20, legislative update.
You know, the major legislative update that we're continuing to monitor and watch is the school funds. There, you know, if you watch that conversation going on, the House worked closely with a superintendent group from around the state to put together a proposal for school funding and to update that. Went to the Senate. The Senate had a different version and pushed back on that House version. And so that continues to go back and forth, and we're watching that closely, thinking that that will come through in the next couple weeks.
Should be finished by the end of next week. But yeah, we'll watch it. Yeah, you're right. House passed it, Senate passed it. It's in conference committee now. In terms of Mason specifically, in terms of funding, this is the binding budget, so this is where our funding for the next 2 years is determined from the state. The House version had us at a slight increase. The Senate version actually has us slightly down. So I guess you could say we're pulling for the House version. Either way, it's not a huge difference for us, but the House version was the Ohio Fair School Funding Plan that's been in the works for the last couple of years from different groups. So something we'll watch closely and see what happens next week.
And one of the things that we've tried to do as a school district, and you've heard us talk about this, is to build our relationships with our legislators so that when situations like this come up, I can call our legislators or work with our legislative groups around the state to keep us informed, but also to keep our community's interest at the forefront of these decisions. So whatever legislation you're hearing out there, if you have questions about that as a public member, feel free to ask us, because we do stay closely in tune with those. Sometimes they're complicated and sometimes they're just headlines. And when you see those headlines, it doesn't describe everything below that, and you might want to know where our position is as a district. Feel free to come and ask us. We do get phone calls, and we're happy to talk to any of those pieces.
And like many of our advocacy efforts, I mean, the thing that drives most of our advocacy efforts, actually, if we had one defining principle, is to leave us alone.
Yes,
so
local
I think
control.
There's consistency in that when it comes. I mean, of course, we would accept more state funding, but at least don't cut it, right? At least hold us steady. And to the extent that people get increases in similarly situated districts, we would expect to be treated the same way. But when it comes to the other stuff, just let us do what we know how to do. So we appreciate that consistency.
All right. Item number 21, board commentary. Desiree?
Thanks, Charles. First of all, I'd like to set the record straight that I'm not an emotional, bumbling person normally.
It's my fault.
I really feel emotional, though, about Jonathan being our superintendent. So I suppose I didn't express that the best way, but it really is a meaningful thing for me, especially being the newest member of the board. And he has brought me along from the very beginning, and it just, my appreciation is a little overwhelming. So, yeah. And second, thank you for the great presentations tonight, the tennis team, this foundation. I'm looking forward to the gala on October 30th in person, which will be wonderful. And the Department of Health as partnership, and it was great that we could recognize them. I don't know if everyone in the community necessarily knows how much and how closely they worked with our schools, supporting us and helping us and answering questions. So that was wonderful that we could recognize them. And that's about all, since it's 71 degrees outside and zero humidity. So
You mentioned working together. Dustin, I just did real quick. I didn't want to embarrass him here, but we had to explain the details of football so that we could make a decision on who's going to be quarantined based on how the game worked. I mean, he was really intimately involved in every detail of the district, even the game of football. So, yes.
Just the fact that he took the time
He did.
to listen and learn our specific needs, that was kind of above and beyond, I think. So, yeah, I'm very appreciative for them.
Matt?
I was lucky enough to share, but nothing really more to add. That's fine.
Thanks, Matt. Kevin?
Well, I just thank you again, Jonathan, and glad your family was here. Just kind of a symbolic thing, but also very appropriate. So glad for that. And then, Sean, I appreciate the navigating here through year end, but also congratulations to you on your graduate and wonderful grad party on the idyllic hill looking over the county, and best of luck to Ellie as she ventures off here. But thanks for navigating through the year end and also other movements that are going to impact our tax base here in Mason that'll be coming up. So looking forward to how we can communicate that in a very clear way so our residents understand what's happening on their tax bills. So,
Thanks, Kevin. Connie?
Yeah, I think tonight was just another example of how we are very, very blessed to, as a board, to be surrounded by some very, very good people, because we certainly don't do the daily work around here. We've got great people in great places supporting this district, and it's just a pleasure to be a part of that. So, thank you.
Thanks, Connie. I wanted to give a shout out to a few of our comments who represented the community this past week in the Olympic swimming trials. They did us proud. We had a recent graduate, Adam Cheney, who finished 5th behind some big names in the 50 freestyle. And then we had a current comment, Carl Boybaum, who gave the fans a lot of excitement in the Wave 1 trials, winning his 200 fly event, and then doing us all, made us all proud in the Wave 2 event that he qualified for. Then I believe we had Reese Lugbill, who's also a recent graduate this year, and then a handful of other comments, and Mason Manarays, who are sharing the Mason waters with our high school comments. So I'm sure there are a few more that I have, names might escape me at the moment, but those were ones I wanted to shout out in particular. Also wanted to congratulate, in addition to Sean on his graduate, Desiree and Kevin, you're all's graduates. I think this is the first board meeting we've had since our regular board meeting we've had since the tennis center graduation, which was an awesome event, and it was neat to see you all be able to hand those diplomas over. So congrats there. And then I also wanted to just take a minute. We've obviously sung your praises here tonight, Jonathan, and recognize the leap of faith you kind of took in deciding to stay here without necessarily knowing what the future might hold as far as your contract goes back in the spring. But I also wanted to acknowledge that Sean, your guidance to us, the other big hire that we make as a board, your steady, kind of reliable ability to give us the lay of the land, and distill down, what the numbers are and everything like that. We would not have been able to do this without your assistance and selflessness, and sort of recognizing the big picture for us, and we not just in the contract, looking at what the market kind of is and that stuff, but as Kevin alluded to, other events on the horizon that'll impact our finances, and making sure that we are in a financially healthy spot to continue to stretch out, taxpayer dollars to the greatest lengths that they can go, continue supporting our students and our teachers, and providing just exceptional educational opportunities and experiences for them. So you guys, you know, it's kind of one can't operate without the other in many respects. And Jonathan's success, I think, is a reflection on your success as well. Just like Jonathan's support team, who we know makes him, you know, shine in many ways. You all as well, I hope, will take some pride in, you know, all of what this contract extension and recognition means for our district. So
Real quick, give Sean a little bit of credit for Jonathan too. He's an excellent teacher, and we appreciate that. And I know Jonathan has too.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that very much.
absolutely.
One more thing.
Yep, go for it.
So we wouldn't want to have this meeting end without a note of condolence to Mason family.
Oh, absolutely.
Simone Scott, 2020 graduate, passed away suddenly. She was up at Northwestern, and had a wonderful celebration of life ceremony yesterday for Simone. Some wonderful words shared, and she was a big presence in this building for 4 years, and I know it's hitting a lot of her classmates hard at a time where our resources aren't as able to be around them. So I know that our resources are still available, and if there are people that need that support, we can certainly help with that. But our condolences to Simone's family, and really just a recognition to the entire community of you know, how precious life is, and we certainly have them all in our prayers.
Absolutely. Thanks. Thank you for that reminder, Kevin. All right. Well, with that, I will move on to the last item on our agenda, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.